What's good, my people, my peeps? Talk to you guys today about perfect people. Is there such a thing as a perfect person on this planet? It's a lot of people who walk around here thinking they're perfect in every way, okay? It just truly amazes me. Truly. I have always been the person who rooted for the underdog. Because the underdog to me showed me that they had the most agility to pursue whatever they wanted to achieve, and they did it without being the maybe smartest, okay, without being most talented. It was what they wanted to do. They had a dream to pursue it, and they did it. They achieved their dream. They achieved their goal because they had the drive, the dedication, the motivation. Perfect people are the ones, I'm so smart. And then they're the ones that I have to put you down to make myself feel good, because my self-esteem is so low. But I'm so smart. Perfect people. I want to tell you guys a story about a young man named Curtis Carroll. A gangster. Yes, a gangster. A person that was far from perfect. Far from it. Couldn't read. Had a mother that was a junkie. Had a grandmother that was, let me not say junkie. Had a mother that was on drugs. His grandmother was on drugs. It was a generational curse, basically. All he knew was drug addicts and, drugs. Selling drugs, the gangster life. Carroll Curtis. And now he consults with other prisoners and people outside of prison. The regular Joe Schmoes and some of the smarty arties. The perfect. They know this gangster. This uneducated gangster who couldn't read. He's known as, in prison, he's in St. Quentin right now, aka Wall Street. This young man taught himself how to read and taught himself how to understand the stock market.
I was 14 years old inside of a bowling alley, burglarizing an arcade game. And upon exiting the building, a security guard grabbed my arm, so I ran. I ran down the street and I jumped on top of a fence. And when I got to the top, the weight of 3,000 quarters in my book bag pulled me back down to the ground. So when I came to, the security guard was standing over top of me and he said, "Next time, you little punk, steal something you can carry." I was taken to juvenile hall. And when I was released into the custody of my mother, the first words my uncle said was, "How'd you get caught?" I said, "Man, the book bag was too heavy." He said, "Man, you weren't supposed to take all the quarters." I said, "Man, they were small. What am I supposed to do?" And 10 minutes later, he took me to burglarize another arcade game. We needed gas money to get home. That was my life. I grew up in Oakland, California, with my mother and members of my immediate family addicted to crack cocaine. My environment consisted of living with family, friends, and homeless shelters. Oftentimes, dinner was served in bread lines and soup kitchens. The big homie told me this: money rules the world and everything in it. And in these streets, money is king. And if you follow the money, it'll lead you to the bad guy or the good guy. Soon after, I committed my first crime. And it was the first time that I was told that I had potential and felt like somebody believed in me. Nobody ever told me that I could be a lawyer, doctor, or engineer. I mean, how was I supposed to do that? I couldn't read, write, or spell. I was illiterate. So I always thought crime was my way to go. And then one day, I was talking to somebody and he was telling me about this robbery that we can do. And we did it. The reality was that I was growing up in the strongest financial nation in the world, the United States of America, while I watched my mother stand in line at a blood bank to sell her blood for $40 just to try to feed her kids. She still has the needle marks on her arms to this day to show for that. So I never cared about my community. They didn't care about my life. Everybody there was doing what they was doing to take what they wanted. The drug dealers, the robbers, the blood bank. Financial literacy really did rule the world. And I was a child slave to it, following the bad guy. At 17 years old, I was arrested for robbery murder. And I soon learned that finances in prison rule more than they did on the streets, so I wanted in. One day, I rushed to grab the sports page of the newspaper so my cellie can read it to me. And I accidentally picked up the business section. And this old man said, "Hey, youngster, you pick stocks?" And I said, "What's that?" He said, "That's the place where white folks keep all their money." And it was the first time that I had saw a glimpse of hope, a future. He gave me this brief description of what stocks were, but it was just a glimpse. I mean, how was I supposed to do it? I couldn't read, write, or spell. The skills that I had developed to hide my illiteracy no longer worked in this environment. I was trapped in a cage, prey among predators, fighting for freedom I never had. I was lost, tired, and I was out of options. So at 20 years old, I did the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. I picked up a book. And it was the most agonizing time of my life. Trying to learn how to read, the ostracizing from my family, the homies. It was rough, man. It was a struggle. But little did I know, I was receiving the greatest gifts I'd ever dreamed of. Self-worth, knowledge, discipline. I was so excited to be reading that I read everything I could get my hands on. Candy wrappers, clothing logos, street signs, everything. I was just reading stuff. I was so excited to know how to read and know how to spell. The homie came up and said, "Man, what you eating?" I said, C-A-N-D-Y, candy. He said, "Let me get some." I said, N-O, no. It was awesome. I mean, I can actually now, for the first time in my life, read. The feeling that I got from it was amazing. And then at 22, feeling myself, feeling confident, I remember what the OG told me. So I picked up the business section of the newspaper. I wanted to find these rich white folks. So I looked for that glimpse. As I further my career in teaching others how to financially manage money and invest, I soon learned that I had to take responsibility for my own actions. True, I grew up in a very complex environment, but I chose to commit crimes, and I had to own up to that. I had to take responsibility for that, and I did. I was building a curriculum that could teach incarcerated men how to manage money through prison employments.
Perseverance, having the drive, wanting to change something in your life. That speaks volumes. Than walking around saying, "I'm so perfect and let me put you down at every chance that I can get." That right there is a sign of a weak person. A weak person have to try to correct you or point out your flaws at every opportunity that they can muster, gain. Because it makes them feel better. Because that perfectness that they've created is a illusion. So check out Curtis Carroll's, aka Wall Street Story. Sometimes it's better to root for the underdog. All right. Much love.